Oh, um, just thought I'd come on here and talk a little bit today. Bear with me a minute. I'm gonna plug in my good old. That should probably make things a little bit easier and a bit more crisp. Um, as the thumbnail suggests, I'm at an age where I'm really confounded by the fact that I kind of have doubts as to whether um, love actually exists in our world. Um, and part of that, yeah, I'm jaded. I'm I've been through a lot in my almost 58 years. Um, and got a lot to say about it. First off, I would like to start from the beginning and kind of be open and honest with you guys about my upbringing. I was born into a family of 5 boys. I had a father and a mother that s um, got married and, uh, had us boys, and then as soon as the youngest one, uh, was born, which was back in 1972, um, 4 short years later, um, my parents decided they'd had enough of each other, so they separated. And this is when my world basically changed my whole view of whether or not someone has the capacity to love. Part of that stems from the fact that um, I felt like I was um, unseen. And even when um, my mother would arrange to v- come visit us, because again, my parents separated. Um, pardon me, I'm getting comfortable here. Anyway, I have a real doubt that my parents ever had the capacity to love me and or my siblings. I think a lot of times it was too much for them. I'm surprised that I quite honestly believe that my parents were ill-equipped to be parents because they were too busy wanting to live their own lives, and they didn't stick it out for the children. And they didn't show. I honestly feel like I wasn't um, loved like uh, a child should be, and supported and nurtured, um, and guided to success, to have some reasonable um, expectation that I would have they would have my back and would support me in whatever endeavors I wanted to explore and achieve. Well, unfortunately, that was not the case in my family. Um, Unfortunately, because of the circumstances being as they were, The fact that my father had to raise 5 boys, um, I'm sorry, but he wasn't ill-equipped to do so. And so what does he do? He starts dating and dating women that were very cruel to his kids. And I went through hell as a child. Um, I am going to be honest with you. I had a bedwetting problem back when I was a young kid. And instead of being understanding and trying to figure out why I was doing it, they just assumed it was because I was lazy and didn't want to get out of bed. And so they punished me. And some of those punishments were cruel and unusual punishment, in my opinion. Um, on some occasions, I was forced to take cold showers. I was forced to wear the peed on sheet over my head and walk back and forth, um, saying, "I am a piss cat." Um, and that's love. Is it? Is it really? I don't think it is. I think I was basically tortured and punished for something I had no control over. Well, that leads me to the next thing. Unfortunately, I want to say probably in my 6th or 7th grade, I'm guessing 6th grade, um, my family was torn apart, and I do mean torn apart. My dad was um, put away for a length of time because he was um, doing things that were not very appropriate with his children, um, and the children that he lived with. Because, mind you, those girlfriends that I was telling you about, well, they had some of them had children, and those children and several of his own children were abused. I know this sounds like a um, tell-all video, but it's coming from the heart at this point, or should I say, coming from my brain, because I don't really know what love is, and I probably, honestly, I'm not sure I ever will know what love is, because, or at least not unconditional love. I may know conditional love, um, because as long as I'm behaving and doing what I'm told, I'm basically put up with it and or accepted. If I do something wrong or I don't live up to someone's expectations, I was treated like a nuisance. That's very damaging to my, what is the word? To my psyche. Yeah, that's the word I was trying to bring up. Because I wasn't given opportunities to do things. I mean, I didn't have anyone really and truly giving me the actual support and guidance that I needed. And I know people can say, "Oh, well, you're just being a crybaby about your life." I know so many other people who had it way better than I did when we were growing up. They didn't have to fight for um they didn't have to fight for um food. They didn't have to. I mean, they were given love um and I know there are others that faced similar um problems like mine, but at the same time, I saw a lot of people growing up that actually had two parents that actually showed that they gave a crap about their kids and made special time to um to support those children and to give them the ability to um have dreams and aspirations um fulfilled, or at least attempted to be fulfilled. um Everybody kept telling me how beautiful my voice was, but did they ever once say, "Hey, you should be involved in a choir. You should be involved in um, getting voice lessons so that you can um, make something of your voice, because we're proud to say that you have a beautiful voice." Well, were they just placating me? Were they just telling me that just because it made me feel good, or were they just saying it because it was true? I don't know. And I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten more cynical. Um, and I know this sounds like I'm rattling on and jumping all over the place, but I have to get this out, and I might as well. Um, in the course of my 58 years almost, I have taken for granted that I was loved. Okay. I thought I actually was cared for and appreciated, and um, that I didn't need to act a certain way or be somebody I'm not in order to feel like I belonged in my family or amongst friends. But I want to be completely honest with you. I have never truly felt like I have anyone or had anyone that truly cared about me as I was growing up and um, needed to know that I was loved. And I know your dad, or at least my dad anyway, he was very sparing with his words of he never told me he loved me. That's for sure. Um, and I had a very strained relationship with my father, and my mom was no better because during the time that we were growing up, my mom was a when the occasion suited her type of parent because she had to have and because she was a quote unquote afraid of my father, so she avoided him and would call first to see if my or her ex-husband was home, and if he was, then she wasn't coming. She would make special trips to the house when nobody else was there, parent-wise, or kind of sort of anyway, to visit us. And so we got basically showered with some sort of like gift, like um she'd make banana splits or something. I mean, that's all well and good. And yes, I enjoyed the time with my mom. But I honestly can tell you that I never felt unconditionally loved by my parents. Thus, it's made me the man I am. I'm I constantly question the validity of someone's feelings or emotions. Um, I question whether or not a gift of a hug is even sincere. That's how screwed up my life is. I don't feel like I was ever truly loved as a child. And when the divorce happened and the subsequent having to meet new um, possible stepmothers, I had to deal with evil stepmothers um, who, because we weren't their kids, we were treated absolutely atrociously. And that's not that's not cool. And I never once, like I said earlier, I never once heard my father ever utter the words "I love you," and maybe he just didn't know or couldn't express that. But you know what? Nonetheless, it hurt and it damaged in my opinion, my self worth. Because I honestly, there are days when I just question whether it's even um, worth waking up in the morning. Some days I wish that I would just fall asleep and never wake up. And I know that sounds horrible, but it's the truth. It's my truth. And now I'm wondering, honestly, if love even exists because I messed up, because I was messed up, my relationship with my own daughter. I somehow thought I loved my ex wife. I thought she loved me too, but she didn't. It was conditional. It was um, a status statement. See, I'm married. I have a child. But you know what? I was just a fixture in her life to so she could say she was proud to have been married. Okay. There was no love there. We were constantly bickering. Um, we were constantly uh, having arguments over the slightest little thing. Like um, every time that because I was working a lot and had no clear schedule of hours, I was working two jobs um, and didn't really have any off time um, in order to be able to raise my child, um, or at least try to show her that I loved her. Um, Now I'm rambling and I'm going off on a tangent. All I can tell you is, from my perspective, love does not exist. It's a social construct. It's has no truth to it because if it did, where's mine? Why am I so screwed up that I can't receive love and I can't give love? Why do I need to feel, or why do I feel so skeptical and cynical about when somebody offers to give me a hug? It feels absolutely fake. That's the only way I can describe it. I have not had anyone genuinely give me a hug, even my parents, even my mom, mind you, where I actually felt like I meant something to them. And that's really difficult for me to vocalize. But you know what? It's how I feel. It's how cynical I've become. All because I had a poor upbringing. I never had the emotional support and guidance of worthwhile parenting um, from my parents. Um, and in some ways, I think that because I was born into a larger family of five boys, there was no way that that was going to work, that I would be able to get the love and support and the guidance and the ability to succeed, um, because look at the role models I had. They were inadequate role models. I used to think, I had I had decent parents. No, they weren't that decent because my father chose alcohol and drugs over his children. My father chose abusing someone else's children over his own children and showing them actual love, guidance, and support. My mom was not any better because she was working She'd come home. We had, mind you, we had to live in a trailer park with our mother, even though she was married to somebody who had a very nice house. But because we were quote unquote hellions and that we were the devil's spawn, because my stepfather and my father hated each other, I and my brothers were not shown any ounce of actual um unconditional love. And like I said, I was told by my stepfather that I was the devil's spawn because I had my father's blood running through me. Do you realize how damaging that is to a child's psyche? Do you know how horrible that made me feel? Being told I wasn't worth a damn and that I would never amount to anything? Those words are, in my humble opinion, child abuse and neglect because there is no, in my opinion, there is really no worse feeling than to feel like you're only put up with, you're not loved, you're not appreciated, your existence is a nuisance. That's how I felt growing up. I wanted to believe that love existed, that somehow, some way, someone was going to show me that I mattered to them. And don't even let me get started on what happened after my mother died back in 2016 because unfortunately my mom was going a little cuckoo. Um, I honestly believe she had some mental issues because she literally was going to, according to my brothers, now I could be wrong, she was going to have her son, me, disinherited from the will because I didn't visit enough. Yet she never made any um but one or two, maybe in the most, visits to me up here in Port Angeles. I had to drive 45 minutes um there and back, and yet when I got there and I spent time, I always felt like I was intruding, and I was made to feel that way. "Oh, I'm making dinner." "Oh, okay, well, then I'll just be on my way." No offer for me to stay for dinner. No offer to, um, I mean, and I know that that might not have been, um, always a, um, possibility, but every time, yeah. So, I know this sounds like I'm telling you a sob story. Well, you know what? I'm telling you my truth. It's my way of I guess it's my way of being able to counsel myself and maybe get over some of the issues that I've got because I can't talk to a counselor about these kinds of things because, for lack of a better word, I keep getting abandoned by whomever the therapist is where I go because I'm constantly having to be reassigned to somebody else. And this time it took nearly, I want to say probably 6 months, if not longer, to get scheduled with um a new therapist. And the prior therapist that I had, she apparently got to the point where she didn't want to deal with me. And it wasn't because I was unpleasant or anything. I guess she just didn't think she was making any progress with me, but she tried to tell me I was all well and good. I didn't need her um services anymore, supposedly, according to the feeling I got. That's not a very appropriate situation there either. But that's a story for another day. Anyway, so to kind of wrap this video up, since I've been dragging it out for far longer than I ever expected to. Um, so what's your opinion on love? Does it exist? Do you feel worthy of love? Because I don't, especially after, let's see, I got divorced back when I was 28 years old, and that's so for the last 30 years, I have not had one single person show me that they actually give a shit other than, "Oh, well, we'll visit you can come visit my house," but that's all. Um, and when it's time for you to leave, it's time for you to leave. So I was only merely put up with, in my opinion. And that's how I feel. And I feel that my feelings are legitimate. That sounds I mean, I may sound overly cynical. I may sound like a real piece of work, but it's honestly how I feel. And to be able to finally air this out, even though it's to a camera and not to a actual physical person here in my presence, it's therapeutic for me to be able to voice these um, feelings. And I appreciate those of you who might consider commenting on this video. This channel is not getting near any views. I think I've only had like 2 views on any of my videos. And I've got like several that have not even had 1 view on them. So I'm beginning to believe that this is a dead channel and that I might as well just continue to make content for myself to rewatch and use it for therapeutic reasons only. All my videos are public, but yet nobody bothers to watch them. So, if you by chance get the opportunity to see my video, this one in particular, would you do me a big favor and comment and give me some words of encouragement? Or maybe you can try to reassure me that um, I'm not wrong, or I'm wrong about the fact that does exist, because I don't, from my perspective, love does not exist. At least not unconditional love anyway. Conditional love, maybe. And that's a very iffy maybe. And I just would like to end this video with one last statement. I know this video is not for everybody. I know I can be a lot. I can be too intense for most people, but I'm at least, in my opinion anyway, being real. I'm being valid. My feelings are valid. Yours should be too. And we should all have an opportunity to experience what it means to be loved unconditionally. I have yet, I honestly don't believe I will ever have that opportunity in my lifetime, albeit here I am almost 58, and I don't know that I will be here, you know, at my birthday time, especially at the rate I'm going, because I am so broken inside and completely, um, like I said, I'm pretty much broken. My spirit is broken. My hope is nearly non-existent, and I'm circling the drain when it comes um to feeling like I actually matter to anybody really. Yeah, people say, "Oh, you're loved. You're loved." All you need to do is go seek out um the Lord and he'll help you. So go to church. Church isn't going to miraculously change my life, especially organized religion, because of the churches I've gone to, and I may be very cynical about it, but this is how I see it, how I view it. Most churches, organized religions, Catholics, Mormons, whatever, when their parishioners enter the beautiful four walls of a church, they act so kind, so considerate, and so fake, because once they walk out those beautiful doors, of their church and resume their lives, they're hypocrites. They judge people. They hoard their wealth. They don't have any time for people. They will look down upon people for whatever reason and try to be hoity-toity. And yes, they commit cro- uh, crimes and treat people poorly. So that's my view. And I know that may not be the most healthy of views to have when it comes to church, but I've had pretty much 58 years of experience. Every church I've ever been to, I've felt not accepted. Um, I felt very looked upon as subpar. And yes, it's very disheartening when I witness people being absolutely and completely different people when they're in the congregation of a church. The minute, like I said, the minute they walk out that door, out the door, pardon me, of the churches that I've been to, it's not long before they revert to their ways that are not godlike and not serving of the Lord. So, in the spirit of not dragging this out to more than an hour, since it's now headed towards 45 minutes now that I've been talking, I'm going to go ahead and um, end this video. But it's food for thought. If you choose to watch it, be kind and don't leave negative comments, because anybody that does, I will just delete them, because I don't need your judgment. I don't need your approval. And I certainly don't need your hypocritical, rude um, opinions. You know, opinions are like assholes. We all have one. Anyway, I know that was stolen from somebody else, a quote from somebody else. Big flippin' deal. Anyway, have a nice day, and I'll see you next time if you so choose to watch my videos.